Class, this is Briley and Addison, and I decided to have you guys join us as we read her first book, and this is The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells sour and slow when it blows, and no birds ever sing except old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax? And why was he there? And why was he lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows. Ask him. The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock on his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miff-muffered moof. And he peeks on special dank midnights in August. He peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax is lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. At the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to make sure you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, the secret strange hole in his grooveless glove. And then he grunts, I'll call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop. Down slops the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose. And he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swammy swamps rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the tuffla trees, the bright-colored tufts of the tuffla trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw the brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate tuffla fruits. From the ripless pond came the comfortable sound of the hummingfish humming while splashing around. And in no time at all I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a tuffla tree with one chop. With great skillful skill and great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. Master! I think I skipped a page.
She goes like this.
The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked and I saw something popped out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Now here it comes. Master, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my tuffla tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it's other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets or pillows or for sheets, or curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you're crazy with greed. There's no one on earth that would buy that full thneed. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along. He thought the thing I had knitted was neat, was great, and he happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radio phone, and I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here, there's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting things just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of tuffla trees. Then, oh baby, oh, my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which I whacked off 4 tuffla trees at one smacker. We were making things 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax, we didn't show up anymore. But then the very next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping just as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating tuffla fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking of the trees to the ground, there's not enough tuffla fruits to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads. Of needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the north, to the east, to the west. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes. That old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled and he sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a coughless croak. "Onceler, you're making such smuggless smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog you smoggered up around here. What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making Gluppity-Glup, also Sloppity-Slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the ponds where the hummingfish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so smeary." And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say bad, bad, bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to just go on doing what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more tuffla trees into needs, which everyone needs." And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffla tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time at all, my uncles, my aunts, everyone all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smokered stars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was the big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad backwards glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a a trace. And all that the Lorax left in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word: unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings had fallen apart, I've worried about it with all my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler, and he lets something fall. It's a tuffla seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last tuffla seeds, and tuffla trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new tuffla and treat it with care. Give it fresh water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest protected from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end.